Most people dream of changing the world, but very few understand the power required to do it. You may have ideas, passion, even talent, but without mastering the darker, hidden lessons of power, your vision will never escape your mind. Today, I will show you what I learned. The kind of lessons that are rarely spoken, but essential if you want to lead, innovate, and leave a dent in the universe. Most people live their lives avoiding discomfort. They chase balance, they seek harmony, and they desire peace. And that sounds good, right? But balance doesn't create revolutions. Harmony doesn't disrupt industries. Peace doesn't build empires. What makes real change is obsession, a fire inside you that refuses to be put out, no matter how much it burns you, no matter how much it consumes the people around you. When I was building Apple, it wasn't about making computers. It was about this idea, this vision, this obsession with making something insanely great. And obsession is dangerous. It takes you over. It makes you forget to sleep, forget to eat, forget about what the world thinks is normal. People will call you crazy. They'll say you're impossible to work with. They'll say you're arrogant, stubborn, ruthless. And you know what? They'll be right. But without that obsession, you will never create something that truly matters. Here's the problem with most people: they get distracted. They chase too many things at once. They try to make everyone happy. They compromise. They quit when it gets too hard. But obsession doesn't let you quit. Obsession locks you in a room with your idea and says, "You're not leaving until this is done." It is both your greatest ally and your worst enemy. It gives you vision, but it also blinds you to everything else. I've been accused of being difficult, of being harsh, of being uncompromising. And I'll tell you the truth. I was. Because when you're obsessed, good enough is never good enough. Almost there doesn't matter. Nearly perfect is still broken. You see, obsession doesn't accept mediocrity. It doesn't let you settle. It pushes you past exhaustion, past fear, past doubt, into a place where something extraordinary is born. The question you have to ask yourself is this: what are you willing to sacrifice for your obsession? Because it will cost you. It will cost you relationships. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you the illusion of a normal life. But obsession pays you back in a different currency. It pays you back in breakthroughs. It pays you back in moments when the world finally sees what you've been seeing all along. It pays you back in legacy. Most people think obsession is unhealthy, but what's unhealthy is being average, living a life where you never push, never demand, never risk. Obsession is the antidote to mediocrity. It forces you to dig deeper than you thought possible, to demand more from yourself than anyone else ever could. And that's why obsessed people change the world. Because they're not satisfied with what is. They're possessed by what could be. I'll tell you something else about obsession. It isolates you. It makes you the outlier, the misfit, the one who doesn't belong. And at first, that feels like a curse. You lose friends. People stop understanding you. You stop fitting in. But that isolation is exactly where vision is born. Because while the crowd is busy being comfortable, you're busy being consumed by something bigger. You're building something they won't understand until it's finished. And when they finally see it, they'll call you a genius. They'll forget that they once called you insane. Obsession demands discipline. It's not enough to just want something badly. You have to wake up every day and serve it. You have to feed it, protect it, and fight for it. You have to say no to 1,000 things just to say yes to one thing that matters. That's what makes obsession powerful. It doesn't scatter your energy. It focuses like a laser, and that laser can cut through anything in its path. But here's the dark side: obsession makes you ruthless. When you're obsessed, you stop tolerating excuses. You stop accepting compromises. You stop being patient with people who don't see what you see. And sometimes that ruthlessness hurts people. Sometimes it breaks relationships. But that's the price. You cannot create something revolutionary by being soft, by being agreeable, by always trying to keep the peace. Obsession requires conflict. It requires friction. It requires a refusal to settle for anything less than the vision in your head. The truth is, obsession is not a choice. It chooses you. You don't wake up one morning and decide to be obsessed. Something grabs you. Something won't let go. Something keeps you awake at night and whispers to you when the world is silent. That's when you know you found your obsession. When it doesn't give you peace. When it doesn't let you escape. When it owns you more than you own it. And once you've been taken by it, you'll never be the same. Because now you know what it feels like to live for something bigger than comfort, bigger than approval, bigger than yourself. You know what it feels like to be possessed by an idea, and that possession changes you forever. Control. That's a word people don't like to talk about, but I'll tell you this, without control, your vision will die. People love to romanticize leadership as if it's about inspiring others with gentle words and letting creativity run wild without boundaries. But the truth, if you don't control the vision, the product, the culture, someone else will. And when they do, your idea will be destroyed, diluted, compromised into something safe, something ordinary, something forgettable. When I was at Apple, I wasn't trying to be liked. I wasn't trying to be everyone's best friend. I was trying to build something that had never existed before. And for that to happen, I had to control the narrative. Every line of code, every button, every curve of glass had to reflect one thing, the vision. That's not micromanagement. That's stewardship. That's the discipline of protecting something fragile before it can stand on its own. Most people are afraid of control because they confuse it with tyranny. They think control means domination, ego, selfishness. But real control, the kind I'm talking about, is about clarity. It's about saying, this is the standard. This is the direction. This is what we're building. And then never letting it slip. Because the second you let go, the second you start compromising, you're no longer leading. You're drifting. And drifting kills innovation. Control is uncomfortable. It makes you the bad guy. People will say you're impossible, that you don't listen, that you're suffocating their creativity. But here's the reality. Creativity without direction is chaos. Ideas without discipline are noise. Control is what turns chaos into order, what turns noise into music. If you're not willing to take control, then you're not willing to lead. I remember being in product meetings where people would present designs and they'd be almost there, 90% done, 95% brilliant. And I would stop the entire thing. I would say, this isn't right. Do it again. People hated that. They thought I was being cruel. But what they didn't see was that 95% doesn't matter. 95% still breaks the vision. And if you let that slide, soon 95 becomes 80, and 80 becomes mediocrity. Control is the refusal to let that slide. You have to understand, when you're building something truly revolutionary, the details matter. They're not small things, they are the thing. One bad decision, one weak compromise, one uncontrolled moment, and the whole experience collapses. So, yes, I demanded control. Over the design, over the packaging, over the marketing, over the story we told the world. Because if I didn't, then someone else would decide what Apple meant. And I wasn't about to let that happen. Control also means owning the room. You can't walk into a room with your team, your investors, your customers, and look uncertain. People can smell doubt. If you're not in control of the narrative, the energy, the vision, then you've already lost. Leadership isn't about being polite. It's about being the gravity in the room. It's about pulling people into your orbit so that everything revolves around the vision you're fighting for. But here's the dark part. To truly control something, you often have to say no more than you say yes. And that makes you enemies. People don't like being told no. They don't like having their ideas rejected. They don't like being reminded that the vision isn't theirs, it's yours. And yet, that's exactly what leadership demands. If you try to please everyone, you'll control nothing. And the product, the company, the movement, it will die of compromise. Control is not a popularity contest. It's not about being loved. It's about being respected and sometimes feared. People may not like the decisions you make, but if they respect the clarity and the results, they'll follow you. And make no mistake, results matter. Because when your obsession meets control, that's when things get built. That's when dreams stop being fantasies and start becoming reality. People love to talk about collaboration, and yes, collaboration matters. But let's be honest, collaboration without control is chaos. A ship with too many captains goes nowhere. Someone has to steer. Someone has to say, this is the way. And if you want to build something legendary, that someone has to be you. And control doesn't just extend to the product. It extends to the culture, the people you allow in, and the people you push out. If someone doesn't align with the vision, no matter how talented they are, they cannot stay. Because the wrong person can rot a culture from the inside. Protecting the culture requires control. Protecting the product requires control. Protecting the future requires control. I'll tell you a secret. Control is lonely. When you're the one who sees the vision so clearly, you feel like you're carrying the weight of it alone. People won't understand why you push so hard, why you refuse to bend, why you demand so much. But if you give that up, if you let go, then no one else will fight for it the way you will. Control means bearing that weight, even when it makes you unpopular, even when it makes you the villain in someone else's story. But that's the reality of leadership. You don't get to be loved and respected all the time. You don't get to make everyone comfortable. You don't get to be easygoing. You get to be the one who holds the line, who refuses to compromise, who takes the vision in your head and forces it into reality through sheer will and control perfection. People love the word. They put it on posters. They put it in mission statements. They talk about it like it's some beautiful destination. But perfection isn't pretty. Perfection is brutal. It's ugly. It's painful. If you want to create something perfect, you're going to suffer for it. And you're going to make other people suffer for it, too. That's the truth no one wants to admit. When I demanded perfection at Apple, people thought I was unreasonable. They thought I was cruel. They couldn't understand why a single pixel out of place mattered, why the way a box opened mattered, why the sound of a click mattered. But to me, every detail mattered. Because the truth is, perfection isn't about the detail itself. It's about what it communicates. It tells people we care. We thought about this. We respected you enough not to give you garbage. But here's the dark side. Chasing perfection means nothing is ever enough. The moment you get close, you find another flaw, another weakness, another part that can be better. It never ends. That's why perfectionists are restless. They're never satisfied. They keep pushing, past exhaustion, past frustration, past reason. And that's why they build things that change the world. Because they never accept the lie of good enough. Most people give up before perfection. They get tired. They compromise. They say, this is fine, this will do. And maybe that's okay for them. But if you want to make something iconic, if you want to create something that stands for decades, you can't afford fine. Fine is forgettable. Fine is invisible. Only perfection captures attention. Only perfection makes people stop and say, this is different. But don't get it wrong. Perfection isn't glamorous. It's not romantic. It's not a beautiful dream. It's war. It's a war against mediocrity. War against the easy way out. War against the temptation to just let it slide. And in that war, you will lose sleep. You will lose patience. You will lose people who don't have the stomach for it. And yes, sometimes you will lose yourself in the process. You see, perfection is expensive. It demands sacrifice. It demands conflict. Because to insist on perfection is to constantly confront people, to tell them their work isn't enough, to send them back again and again until it's right. That doesn't make you popular. It doesn't make you loved. It makes you fear. It makes you hate. It makes you the person no one wants to present to. But if you're building something that will outlast you, you cannot care about that. You cannot care about comfort. You can only care about the vision. And here's the paradox: perfection is impossible. You'll never truly reach it. But the pursuit of it, what it forces out of you, what it forces out of your team, that's where greatness is born. By chasing something you'll never quite catch, you end up creating something extraordinary along the way. That's the paradox most people don't understand. It's not about reaching perfection. It's about refusing to stop short of it. Perfection also creates tension. It creates friction. People will tell you it's a waste of time, that no one cares about the things you're obsessing over. They'll try to convince you to move faster, to cut corners, to compromise. But if you give in, if you settle, then you've already lost. Because the moment you accept good enough, you're no longer leading, you're following. You're no longer shaping the world, you're fitting into it. When we made the first iPhone, there were endless arguments. Engineers would say, this is too hard. This will take too long. Nobody needs it to be this smooth, this precise. And I would say, yes, they do. They just don't know it yet. That's the thing about perfection. People don't know they need it until you give it to them. They don't know they've been settling for average until you put something flawless in their hands. Then suddenly, everything else feels obsolete. That's the reward of perfection. It redefines reality. It raises the standard so high that no one can ever look at the world the same way again. But getting there is brutal. It means being the person who says no when everyone else is saying yes. It means rejecting 99 ideas to protect the one that matters. It means being willing to fight, argue, and even destroy relationships for the sake of something better. And if you think that sounds extreme, you're right. It is extreme, because perfection is extreme. There's nothing comfortable about it. There's nothing easy about it. It takes everything you have and demands more. And if you're not willing to give that, if you're not willing to endure the pain and the conflict, then don't talk about perfection. Don't pretend you want it, because perfection only belongs to those willing to bleed for it. Everyone talks about legacy as if it's some glorious prize waiting for them at the end of their journey, as if you just live your life, do your work, and someday people will remember you kindly. But that's not how it works. Legacy isn't given. Legacy is taken, and it's not the result of comfort or compromise or doing what everyone expects of you. It's the result of sacrifice. It's the result of making hard choices. Choices that will make people hate you now so they can admire you later. The truth is, most people don't want to pay that price. They want to be remembered, but they don't want to be misunderstood. They want to be celebrated, but they don't want to be criticized. They want the glory of the legacy without the loneliness that comes with it. But if you're serious about leaving something behind that will outlast you, you have to accept a brutal reality. Legacy demands that you be willing to stand alone. When I was building Apple, there were times when people thought I was destroying it. There were times when I was fired, times when I was mocked, times when I was doubted by the very people I thought believed in me. And in those moments, the easy thing to do would have been to quit, to walk away, to say, maybe they're right, maybe this is too much. But if I had done that, there would be no iPhone, no iPad, no Mac as we know it, no Apple as the world knows it today. Legacy isn't built on approval. Legacy is built on defiance. Here's the thing about legacy. It's not comfortable while you're building it. It usually feels like failure. It feels like rejection. It feels like you're losing more than you're winning. Because legacy is only clear in hindsight. In the moment, it looks like madness. It looks like arrogance. It looks like stubbornness. But what the world sees as arrogance is often just conviction. And what the world calls stubbornness is often just faith in a vision too fragile for them to see yet. If you want to leave a legacy, you can't live for the present moment. You can't live for applause today. You have to live for a tomorrow you might not even see. That means making choices that will hurt now, but matter later. That means sacrificing relationships, sacrificing comfort, sacrificing your reputation in the short term. Because you're not playing for now, you're playing for forever. But legacy isn't just about what you build, it's about what you destroy. Sometimes leaving a mark means tearing down what exists. It means challenging the old way, the safe way, the way everyone swears is the only way. That doesn't make you popular. That makes you dangerous. And if you're not willing to be dangerous, you'll never leave a dent in the universe. Legacy requires a kind of patience most people don't have. Because when you're obsessed, when you're controlling, when you're chasing perfection, people won't understand you. They'll fight you. They'll resist you. And you'll want them to see what you see. You'll want them to understand. But they won't. Not at first. Maybe not ever in your lifetime. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be willing to be hated now so you can be honored later. I always believed that the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. But what I didn't say is that those people are also the ones who suffer the most while they're alive. Because being crazy enough to chase a vision the world doesn't yet understand means you're constantly at war. With doubt, with resistance, with the weight of misunderstanding. That's the price of legacy. And yet, what's the alternative? To play it safe. To live a life that fits neatly into the expectations of others. To build something that's quickly forgotten the moment you're gone. That's not legacy. That's erasure. The truth is, we're all going to die. The question is, will what you built die with you, or will it outlive you? Will people remember you as someone who followed the crowd, or as someone who forced the world to change? Legacy doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your need for approval. Legacy only cares about one thing. Did you build something that mattered? Did you fight hard enough to make sure it lasted? Did you care enough to protect it, even when no one else understood why? And if you really want a legacy, you have to accept that it won't always be pretty. It won't always be fair. It won't always be celebrated. Sometimes it means being the villain in your own time so you can be the hero in history. Sometimes it means being pushed aside, mocked, and forgotten, only to be rediscovered decades later. And sometimes it means never hearing the applause at all, because the world won't recognize what you built until long after you're gone. So here we are. You've seen the truth most people never dare to look at. Obsession, control, perfection, legacy. These are not pretty words. They're not comfortable lessons. They're not what you'll hear in leadership seminars or motivational speeches. But they're real, and they're the reason some people change the world while the rest simply live in it. The question you have to ask yourself is not whether you want success, or comfort, or applause. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to become obsessed, even if it isolates you? Are you willing to seize control, even if it makes you the villain? Are you willing to demand perfection, even if it means endless conflict? Are you willing to chase a legacy, even if you'll never live to see the full reward? Most people won't. Most people will choose ease, compromise, and approval, and that's why most people will be forgotten. But the few, the rare few, who embrace the darkness of power, who live with the weight of obsession, who fight for control, who suffer for perfection, and who sacrifice for legacy, they are the ones who will be remembered. In the end, the world doesn't remember those who fit in. It remembers those who refuse to. And if you want to leave your mark, if you want to put a dent in the universe, you can't just dream. You can't just hope. You can't just play it safe. You have to step into the fire, embrace the darkness, and carry your vision through every storm until the world has no choice but to see it. That is the reality. That is the cost. That is the gift. And only those who are willing to pay for it in full will ever know what it feels like to change the world.